January 1776, the first month of the year that a country is born, and almost died.
January 1st, 1776. The new year dawns without celebration. Washington issues his first general orders of the year, reminding the army that without discipline, it is nothing more than a commissioned mob. Order, obedience, and structure, he declares, are now essential to survival. He demands accurate returns, proper records, and strict chains of command. At the same time, Washington offers mercy, pardoning past offenses and releasing all but prisoners of war. The army is given a chance to begin again. Far to the south, the war takes a brutal turn. British warships move into the harbour at Norfolk. Cannon thunder from the water, smashing wharves and warehouses. Flames climb into the winter sky. As British guns roar, Patriot defenders answer from shore. Buildings burn, smoke chokes the streets, and chaos spreads. The fight consumes the town itself. The new year opens not with celebration, but with fire and resolve. Order is demanded, sacrifice is expected, and the fate of the revolution hangs as ever in the balance. 184 days till July 4th and America's 250th anniversary of independence. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 2nd, 1776. A new year dawns on a fragile rebellion and on an army that must be rebuilt from the ground up. For George Washington, survival depends on discipline. Orders are no longer suggestions. They are the foundation of command. Weekly returns, written leave, clear chains of authority. Washington demands structure, because without it, the army is only a mob. From New York comes a warning and a possibility. Colonel Alexander McDougall reports scarcity and frustration, but also hope. If iron and shells can be secured, order may soon be matched by firepower. Before independence could be declared, it had to be enforced. In winter camps and candlelit rooms, George Washington forged order from uncertainty and turned resolve on paper into power in the field. 183 days till Independence Day. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 3rd, 1776. The rebellion sharpens its edge. Words written on parchment now carry the force of law. George Washington announces that the amended Articles of War are now in effect. Every officer must swear to them. Every soldier must hear them. Discipline is no longer implied. It is declared. Washington demands exact returns of weapons, stores, and tents from Cambridge and Roxbury. Neglect draws rebuke. Waste will no longer be tolerated. From Beverly comes troubling news. The fight for order extends beyond the camps and onto the sea. Colonel John Glover warns that unpaid sailors refuse to re-enlist. Some even attempt to desert to the enemy. Without pay, even patriotism begins to fray. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 182 days to the 250th birthday of America. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.
January 4th, 1776. Outside Boston, two armies face one another across frozen ground. Close enough for musket fire, yet locked in uneasy stillness. In a letter to John Hancock, George Washington pledges to strike the British the moment success seems possible. But he warns Congress not to forget the reality. Powder is scarce, and reliable troops are few. A failed attack here would risk everything. Washington confronts an extraordinary challenge. One army dissolving as enlistments expire, another struggling to take shape, all within musket shot of the enemy. The British are not distant. They are watching.
To Joseph Reed, Washington speaks more plainly. Frustration replaces restraint. Doubt and anger press closer in private than they ever could in public.
Meanwhile, copies of the King's speech now move through camp, scornful words branding Americans as deluded, promising force instead of mercy. The meaning is unmistakable. Reconciliation is fading fast. Between patience and provocation, the path narrows, and with each passing winter day, independence begins to look less like a dream and more like a necessity. 181 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 5th, 1776. Winter tightens its grip, and then suddenly loosens it. Snow softens to slush, ice gives way to running water, and the very season meant to aid the rebellion becomes its obstacle. In this war, even the weather refuses to be predictable. From Albany, Colonel Henry Knox scratches out a letter with cold, stiffened fingers. The bold gamble that carried captured artillery from Ticonderoga has stalled. A sudden thaw has halted the movement entirely. What weeks of effort had gained in miles, a few warm days now erase in moments. The guns lie scattered at Hudson River crossings, massive, silent, and immovable. Too heavy to force forward, too valuable to abandon. Teams of oxen stand idle as ice breaks beneath the wheels. Until hard frost returns, the artillery that could decide the siege of Boston must simply wait. At headquarters, George Washington does not wait on the weather. His general orders cut sharply through uncertainty. Exact enlistment returns, new regimentals delivered without delay. If the army cannot yet move its guns, it will sharpen its structure. Washington presses further. Cleanliness enforced in the barracks, proper necessaries constructed, health and order treated as matters of survival. Discipline, he knows, is not ceremonial. An army weakened by filth, confusion and neglect will never live long enough to fire its cannon. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 180 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 6th, 1776. In a winter of shortages, even simple supplies can decide whether an army endures. Along the frozen lines outside Cambridge, desperately needed blankets arrive. Small comforts against a season that shows no mercy. From headquarters, George Washington writes to Rhode Island Governor Nicholas Cook,
he offers sincere thanks for the blankets, knowing they may mean the difference between service and sickness, survival and collapse. But gratitude quickly gives way to firmness. Washington's patience is thinning, and so is the time for half measure. Washington urges Rhode Island to end Newport's agreement supplying British ships. Any lingering hope of reconciliation, he makes clear, is gone. To continue trading with the enemy now is not neutrality. It is assistance. Every barrel, every provision that reaches British hands strengthens the force that stands within musket shot of American lines and places the entire cause at risk. Miles away in Watertown, John Adams writes with urgency. The war, he insists, is entering a decisive phase, and geography will matter as much as courage. New York, Adams warns, is the key to the whole continent, the vital link between North and South, land and water, America and Canada. Whoever controls it controls movement, supply, and communication. Lose New York, and the rebellion may be split in two before it can fully stand. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 179 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 7th, 1776. In Boston Harbor, British ships prepare for sea. Their destination may decide the war. Writing to Jonathan Trumbull, George Washington warns that these ships are likely bound for New York. If the enemy takes the city and the North River, he writes, they will command the country and reopen the road to Canada. New York is more than a city. It is the hinge of the continent. North and south, land and water, rebellion and isolation. Washington resolves to move first. He will send Charles Lee ahead to raise winter volunteers and disarm suspected loyalists before British authority can take hold. Yet Washington does not act alone. Writing to John Adams, he seeks counsel, not only on whether the plan is wise, but whether it lies within his authority. Power, he knows, must be exercised carefully if it is to endure. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 178 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 8th, 1776. Days of warning have hardened into certainty. From his headquarters at Cambridge, General George Washington no longer waits for confirmation. He writes for speed. British ships are preparing to sail. Their destination, Washington is convinced, is New York. The moment demands action, not debate. With quill in hand and maps spread before him, Washington commits the decision to paper, knowing that once the order is sent, the war's next chapter will begin to unfold beyond his reach. If the enemy moves first, the continent itself may be split in two. British ships are fitting out in Boston Harbor, and Washington is convinced they are bound for New York. If New York falls, Washington warns, the enemy will command the country and reopen the road to Canada. Washington orders Charles Lee forward with all possible speed
to raise volunteers, call on New Jersey forces, and secure supplies before British power arrives.
Lee is instructed to inspect river fortifications and disarm suspected loyalists. Control of the Hudson must be decided before a single British anchor drops. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 177 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 9th, 1776. Cambridge wakes slowly, uneasily. The air is still, but the camp knows the night carried action. Hours earlier, under cover of darkness, a chosen party moved silently toward the enemy's works on Bunker Hill. Led by Major Thomas Knowlton, the raid is executed without confusion or gunfire. Discipline, not bravado, carries the night. In his general orders, Washington praises the men's spirit, secrecy, and restraint, reminding the army that a true soldier masters himself before he masters the enemy. Expecting British retaliation, Washington orders heightened vigilance. The raid is over, but the consequences are not. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. "176 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 10th, 1776. As the army settles into winter, Washington strengthens its backbone. William Maroney is appointed Provost Marshal, the Army's Chief of Military Police. Discipline, justice, and order now have a single hand to enforce them. Washington also writes to General John Sullivan, "Brigade returns do not add up. The discrepancies are serious. An explanation is demanded, followed by an invitation to dinner, where numbers and responsibility will meet face to face." Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, ink does what muskets cannot. Yet, Thomas Paine's pamphlet, Common Sense, is published. Words that are written will stir the spirit towards the cause of liberty and independence. On the same day, Congress commissions Benedict Arnold a brigadier general, rewarding bold service even as the future remains uncertain. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 175 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 11th, 1776. The silence in Boston breaks, not with gunfire, but with movement. From Cambridge, George Washington writes urgently to John Hancock. The enemy is leaving Boston, and all signs point south. If New York falls, Washington warns, British control would fracture the rebellion, opening the Hudson, commanding the country, and inviting loyalist strength to the fore. Washington has not waited. Charles Lee has already been sent ahead to secure the city before British power arrives. In Philadelphia, another front begins to stir. French agent Emmanuel de Pliard reports that quiet negotiations with Congress's Committee of Secrecy have met little resistance. A covert trade with France, supplying American arms and powder, may soon begin. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 174 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 12th, 1776. Winter holds its grip, and silence stretches between armies hundreds of miles apart. Unaware of disaster, Washington writes to General Richard Montgomery, assuming Quebec has fallen, or soon will. He writes with confidence that the Northern Campaign is succeeding. Boston's army is threadbare, arms are scarce, blankets and clothing are nearly gone. Washington urgently begs that whatever supplies can be spared from Quebec be sent south without delay. Washington then writes Benedict Arnott, encouraged by earlier reports and still expecting good news from Canada. Again, Washington presses for supplies, and he adds that Congress is considering raising a new army for Canada, even in the depths of winter, planning forward before the truth of Quebec has arrived. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 173 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 13th, 1776. The rebellion faces a truth it can no longer delay. There are not enough weapons to fight the war it has begun. Writing to the Massachusetts General Court, Washington exposes the crisis. Fewer arms than expected were collected from discharged soldiers, and nearly all have already been reissued to new recruits. There is nothing left in reserve. Washington urges Massachusetts to act at once, to gather arms from towns and communities immediately. Without them, the army cannot stand, much less strike. While Washington struggles to arm his men, the fate of the Canadian campaign finally reaches him. The news is devastating. Richard Montgomery is dead. Benedict Arnold is wounded. The assault on Quebec has failed. What Washington hoped to reinforce, he must now reckon with as a loss. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 172 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 14th, 1776. The truth from Canada has arrived, and it cannot be undone. Washington learns of Richard Montgomery's death. A capable officer, a trusted commander, lost far from home beneath the walls of Quebec. The Canadian campaign must now be reassessed. What was meant to expand the rebellion
has instead drained men, supplies, and hope at the worst possible moment. Outside Boston, the army remains cold, thinly clothed, and poorly armed. Even in grief, Washington cannot look away from the men who still stand watch. The loss in Canada strips away illusion, but not resolve. The war must continue, guided now by harder lessons and fewer assumptions. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 171 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 15th, 1776. The army wakes to another cold morning, now carrying the weight of what has been lost and what must still be done. Washington allows no pause for despair. Discipline remains the army's anchor, routine enforced even as resources remain scarce. Boston remains in British hands. Their guns are quiet, but their presence is constant. Watching, waiting, testing resolve. Washington orders continued vigilance throughout the lines. Surprise, he knows, favors the prepared, not the hopeful. With Canada lost and New York uncertain, the army must endure. Holding the line outside Boston becomes an act of will as much as strategy. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. Led by George Washington, the work continues. 170 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 16th, 1776. After weeks of waiting, Washington gathers his senior advisors. Endurance has held the line, but it cannot win the war alone. Washington speaks plainly. A bold stroke against the ministerial army in Boston must come before spring reinforcements arrive, or the moment will be lost. The council does not hesitate. The answer is unanimous. Attempted, as soon as circumstances favor. From New Haven, General Charles Lee writes back to Washington. Volunteers can be raised, he assures him, and the setback in Canada should strengthen resolve, not weaken it. Across camps and councils, the army's purpose sharpens. The question is no longer whether to act, but when. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 169 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. The Council decides. January 16th, 1776. Weeks of winter, shortage, and loss press heavily on the Continental Army. Outside Boston, patience has held, but patience alone cannot break a siege. Inside headquarters, George Washington convenes a council of war. Officers and civilian leaders gather, not for ceremony, but for judgment. Washington lays out his conviction plainly.
The ministerial army must be struck before spring reinforcements arrive. If the moment passes, the opportunity may never return. Among those present are John Adams and James Warren. There is no debate, no dissent. The council answers unanimously. Attempted as soon as circumstances favor. The council breaks. Nothing has moved outside, but everything has changed. The question is no longer whether to act, only when. In war, endurance keeps an army alive, but the decision is what moves it forward. Thank you for watching this extra video for today. January 17th, 1776. Near midnight, the silence outside Boston breaks, not with battle, but with warning. When the challenge is ignored, shots crack through the cold air. The boats withdraw, but unease remains. Lomi Baldwin keeps scouts out until morning, wary that the enemy may be probing for revenge after the Charlestown raid. From Cambridge, Washington absorbs the report. The siege is unchanged, but the enemy is testing its edges. Far from the lines, the war presses inward. From Mount Vernon, Lund, Washington reports disruption and fear along the Potomac. Towns unsettled after the burning of Norfolk, unsure where the next blow will fall. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 168 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 18th, 1776. In the quiet hours before dawn, the truth from Canada finally arrives. Forwarded through General Philip Schuyler, the news is devastating. Richard Montgomery is dead. Benedict Arnold is wounded. The assault on Quebec has failed. Washington immediately calls a council of war. His generals assemble, joined again by John Adams. The question is not abstract. It is urgent, immediate, and dangerous. The solution is hard, but decisive. New regiments will be raised immediately, and 3 of the 13 militia regiments expected for Boston will instead march north.
His Excellency the Commander-in-Chief laid before the Council letters received last night from Major General Schuyler, enclosing copies of letters from Brigadier General Worcester, Colonel Arnold, and Colonel Donald Campbell, containing the melancholy account of the death of General Montgomery, the wounding Colonel Arnold, and the consequent failure of the success of the assault upon the city of Quebec on the 31st of December last. Council of War, January 18th, 1776.
In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. "167 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday." Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 19th, 1776. The defeat in Canada demands more than reflection. It demands action. Washington drafts a circular letter to Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. The message is stark. Without immediate reinforcements, the Northern Front may collapse. If help does not arrive quickly, Washington warns, General Carleton may secure Canada outright, drawing native allies to the crown and undoing months of American effort. Washington then writes to John Hancock, explaining his actions plainly. He has requested troops without waiting for Congress, not out of ambition, but necessity. Delay, Washington insists, would be fatal. In war, authority may be debated, but responsibility must be exercised. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 166 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 20th, 1776. With the siege locked in place, Washington extends the war beyond the shoreline. Washington's orders to Captain Charles Dyer are exacting. Enemy supply ships are to be seized, letters and papers collected for intelligence, powder conserved, discipline maintained. Even amid necessity, Washington insists on restraint. Prisoners are to be treated with humanity, because the character of the cause matters as much as victory. From Philadelphia, John Hancock writes that Congress is shaken by the disaster at Quebec, but not paralyzed. Reinforcements for the Northern Army are still being pressed forward. From frozen trenches to rolling seas, the rebellion widens. Each decision now touches more ground and more lives. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 165 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 21st, 1776. The army's shortage is no longer theoretical. It is immediate. Washington directs regimental commanders to send trusted officers into the countryside to purchase any serviceable firearms they can find, wherever they may be hidden. Recruits who bring their own guns will be paid for their use and compensated if those weapons are lost. The war is now fought, quite literally, with what men bring from home. From Montreal, Brigadier General David Wooster writes with grim clarity. American control is fragile. The clergy are hostile. Powder is scarce. Wooster confirms what Washington already fears. Richard Montgomery is dead. Heavy cannon are desperately needed. Without them, the Northern Army cannot hold. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward. 165 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 22nd, 1776. There is no movement of armies today, only the steady work of holding one together. New Hampshire reports it has already advanced wages to men marching for Canada, trusting that Congress will repay the cost when funds arrive. Washington assures the colony reimbursement will come. The war, for now, advances on trust rather than coin. From Connecticut, Governor Jonathan Trumbull reports mixed success. 750 men are ordered to march north, but heavy artillery cannot be spared. Trumbull asks bluntly for money to move the troops. Will alone cannot march an army. Even resolve has a price. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 163 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 23rd, 1776. The war no longer moves only with armies. It moves with letters, written faster than they can be answered. Writing to Charles Lee, Washington confronts hard realities. Canada falters after Quebec, but reinforcements are finally on the march. Washington warns Lee that British General Henry Clinton has sailed from Boston. His destination is unknown, but New York looms largest. New York, Washington believes, may decide the war, linking north and south, river and sea. Lose it, and the rebellion may fracture beyond repair. In a rare moment of candor, Washington writes Joseph Reed, correspondence overwhelms him. Trusted hands are few. Without Reed, he admits, command grows heavier by the hour. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 162 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 24th, 1776. After weeks of frozen roads and river crossings, the first of the heavy guns reach Massachusetts. Dragged south from Fort Ticonderoga, the artillery offers something the army has lacked since the siege began: true weight. Washington watches the guns arrive, knowing they may finally shift the balance before Boston, but only if conditions allow. Writing to John Hancock, Washington describes the relentless pressure of command, unsettled accounts, rising expenses, and constant shortages of arms and ammunition. Even now, winter denies him the final advantage. The season has been too mild, no solid ice for an assault, no easy path forward. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 161 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 25th, 1776. From Providence comes an unwelcome truth. There are no muskets to spare. Rhode Island, long secure, neglected preparation. The war arrived faster than muskets could be made or bought. At Mount Vernon, Snow falls. Temperatures drop as winter tightens its grip. Frozen rivers halt business. Corn markets falter. Mills fall silent. Illness spreads among workers. The war's absence offers no protection from its consequences. Washington receives word. Lund Washington writes his cousin about the accident in December of 1775, writing,
John Broad got a small hurt in the thigh on Christmas Day. He is still bad with it, much reduced, unable to help himself.
John Broad is expected to die from infection. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 160 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 26th, 1776. As militia companies arrive, Washington confronts a simple but dangerous truth. Men who are not paid do not stay. January 26th, 1776. As militia companies arrive, Washington confronts a simple but dangerous truth. Men who are not paid do not stay. Washington insists on strict accounting. He knows discipline is sustained not only by orders, but by fairness carefully kept. From Williamsburg, Edmund Randolph reports a skirmish near Norfolk against Lord Dunmore's forces. The war continues to spread along the coast. Randolph also brings personal news. A Custis family property has burned, destroyed by soldiers' negligence. Even at a distance, the war reaches into Washington's household. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 159 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 27th, 1776. Washington writes to Benedict Arnold with grief he does not hide and resolve he will not surrender. He mourns Richard Montgomery's death, an officer lost at the moment the cause most needed success. Washington speaks plainly. If Quebec can be taken this winter, the struggle for independence gains its strongest advantage. Washington then writes Philip Schuyler about a delicate offer. Leaders of the Caughnawaga Mohawk propose warriors and commissions despite a recent pledge of neutrality. Their aid could tip Canada, yet urging them to abandon neutrality gives Washington pause. Even in desperation, he weighs what victory might cost. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 158 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 28th, 1776. Success arrives from the coast, measured not in territory, but in supplies denied. Washington congratulates Captain John Manley for seizing British transports off Plymouth, bold strikes that thin the enemy's lifeline. The guidance is precise. Hunt smaller vessels. avoid the strong, and keep the pressure on supply lines feeding Boston. On land, Washington tackles a chronic problem. Militia pay is standardized, fair, clear, and enforceable. Militia will be paid on equal footing with continental troops, but only within strict limits and rules. Discipline depends on clarity. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 157 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 29th, 1776. From Philadelphia comes long-awaited assurance. Congress stands behind Washington's call to reinforce Canada. Even after the disaster at Quebec, Congress still hopes the loss may be retrieved if action follows quickly. Hancock confirms what Washington has already begun. Charles Lee is approved to prepare New York against a British invasion. From Connecticut, Captain William Palfrey writes for Lee. Gout has confined him, but not slowed his intent. Unable to write, Lee nevertheless resolves to move toward New York tomorrow. The decision is made. Delay is not an option. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 156 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 30th, 1776. Acting under orders from Congress, Washington puts war's passions aside and writes formally to the enemy. Washington proposes a prisoner exchange. Philip Skene, a royal governor, for James Lovell, a leading Boston patriot held by the British. Even in rebellion, Washington insists on order, on exchanges conducted by rule, not vengeance. Washington also writes Charles Lee with urgent intelligence. British General Henry Clinton has left Boston, likely bound for New York, where Loyalist support may rally. Washington urges Lee to act decisively and hints that Congress may soon call him north to command in Canada. The war's direction is still in motion. 155 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. January 31st, 1776. General George Washington draws a line he cannot cross. He warns Hancock that powder scarcity cripples every plan. Without it, no battalion can be spared, no stroke attempted. To weaken the lines before Boston would risk everything already gained. Months of hardship had secured a fragile advantage, trenches dug, cannon mounted, discipline forged. To strip men or powder from those defenses would invite disaster. One bold British move could undo it all. Until the enemy was driven out, the lines must stand firm. At Mount Vernon, panic spreads along the Potomac. Rumors of enemy ships send Alexandria into motion. Lund Washington acts without hesitation, packing china and papers into barrels, ready to move at a moment's notice. even the commander's home must stand ready to flee. In the dead of winter, an army learns what it must become. Through order, sacrifice, and resolve, the fight for independence moves forward, one day at a time. 154 days to Independence Day and America's 250th birthday. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.